Hello there.
No.
Hello, fellow flat earthers. How you doing on this fine morning?
What's up, my flat earth?
I'm on here. I'm having my coffee. I'm having my coffee at 8:33 in the morning, right? I do orbital mechanics, and I'm a pilot, and I'm here just to listen to this funny shit. No
What
offense.
funny shit?
I do stuff and I do stuff and I don't believe you guys. That's what I heard.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, we're waiting for a flat earther to come in here.
Oh wait, you guys are not flat earthers?
Yeah, we're waiting for a flat
No,
earther.
I'm not flat
Shut up, he's talking. Shut up, he's talking. Go ahead,
Oh,
Greg.
come in.
Yeah, we're waiting for a flat earther to come in here and prove they're flat earth.
All right. Cool.
What kind of coffee you
I'm a
drinking?
flat earther, man.
Espresso
I'm a
macchiato.
flat earther. I am flat earth. Come on. And then Trump is literally our king. He's going to make America
Buddy,
empire.
Trump does not approve of you as a citizen. Man.
Okay, you guys came in at the same time. You guys came in at the same time. Just one at a time. One at a time. One at a time. You guys came in at the same time. You're all talking at the same time. We can't hear anyone. One at a time. Please.
That's kind of rude.
How does one do
Why'd I get muted?
orbital mechanics?
I see all the trolls
All
right
right,
this
me.
morning.
Didn't that just say the N-word? Like a moderator?
How does one? I'm going to ask again. How does one do orbital mechanics?
How does one do orbital mechanics? You study it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing it, Ben.
Oh, what the flip? You want me to go up into space and do it? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, if you are saying that, yeah, you have to do it. Not just talk about it.
Bro, you have... Hold on. You have a Moroccan accent. Are you from Morocco?
Yeah,
Yep, I'm half Moroccan.
nice.
Yes, sir.
I don't care. But tell me,
I understand that. Damn, it's
have you
kinda rude,
ever
but
made
it's
an object orbit around another object? We're just talking about.
Have
how
I
you
made an object turn around? Wait, hold on. Sorry. Have I made an object orbit an object?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Oh, it's like just studying how unicorns can fart rainbow.
Really? Okay. So, well, I mean, look, man. If that's how you see it, then sure. Like, I don't.
You study the prism, the fiber optic that is going from the prism inside the body of the unicorn, and when the unicorn farts, it will just merge with that refracting light.
The Earth is flat, stupid.
This is the thing that you're studying.
Right. Well, I mean, hold on. I'm guessing you went to high school, right?
And you said also that you're a pilot or something
Yes,
like
I'm a
that.
pilot. Have you gone to high school?
Do you have any pitch data that shows that you are going around a ball?
Do I have any what? Sorry.
Do you have pitch data that shows?
AYTT, you have to close your mic. You're interrupting the conversation, hot mic.
Yeah, please.
Okay, good,
Because I'm
sir.
trying to listen to Necros, and your mic's a little loud, man.
So I said, do you, if you're a pilot, have you ever witnessed the data from the plane, the pitch data that shows that you're going and following the Earth, the curvature of the Earth?
I don't have to compensate for that because the aircraft has forces pulling on it. One is the weight of the aircraft. The other is gravity, and the atmospheric pressure. So I don't have to correct for pitch or anything like that.
I
Wouldn't something recorded?
So you have to do like they teach you in.
You don't have to do anything. The airplane, you don't have to do anything. Absolutely not. Because all those three forces. Hold on 1 second, please. The three forces that act upon the aircraft make the aircraft feel like the Earth is flat because of the forces. So when you're flying level, the aircraft does not have to do pitch corrections because of the curvature of the Earth.
I understand. Correct. I agree with you. Like in the first page of the flight dynamics summary, you have to assume that it's the Earth is flat, and you have to assume that the Earth is not moving anywhere.
You don't have to assume anything. What are you talking?
Yeah, that's the first page in the flight dynamics summary.
Show me the first page. Show me the first page. Can I see the first page of what you're talking about?
I can show
I'm
you.
just wondering.
Thank you, please.
Would that be the same as if the Earth really was flat and stationary?
Gravity isn't a force. Yes, it is.
Is someone else talking that I can't hear? So Adam, I'm just wondering, bro. Would that be the same as if the Earth was flat?
Would it be the same if the Earth was flat?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Because we will have everything will react differently.
Really?
Absolutely, yes. We wouldn't have an atmosphere. We would not have an atmosphere. Or hold on, let me.
Holy
Please don't
shit,
moan
bro.
while I'm speaking, man. First of all, we will not have an atmosphere. Second of all, the water that you're talking about will fall off the edge. What else would happen? We will not have clouds. The sun wouldn't exist. The moon wouldn't exist. And if they did, they're crashing right on your house. What would keep the sun and the moon up in your minimal sky?
All right, T-Dub asked him the question, right? So let's let T-Dub respond to the nonsense that he just said.
Where do we fucking start, man? I mean,
He started with you wouldn't have an atmosphere. Let's start at that.
oh right. Yeah. Why would you say that we wouldn't have an atmosphere?
Because there's nothing that encapsulates the atmosphere. The atmosphere could just like fucking fall off the edge of the Earth.
Do you think that we think that Earth is a disk in space?
That's what I believe you think.
No, that's not what we think at all.
Oh, what do you think about it then? How do you think of Earth?
But it's a plane. I'm not claiming that it's like situated somewhere. I'm not claiming that it's an overall size or shape. I'm just describing the surface.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that kind of indicate that what you mean by that is that Earth is flat, like a disk?
No.
So what would it be if it's not a disk, in your opinion?
I don't know.
So you don't know the shape of the Earth, but you say it's flat.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Okay, no problem. Cool, man.
But so I think it would be the other way around, though. I think that if the Earth was a sphere in an ever-expanding vacuum, then you wouldn't have an quote-unquote atmosphere.
Uh-huh. So you think it's the other way around? You wouldn't have an atmosphere if it was a globe?
Yeah, if you had all that space available for the gas to fill, the gas would fill it.
Really?
Yeah, that's what gas does.
Okay.
Fills space. Doesn't it?
It does.
Does it not? Yeah,
It does.
there you go. Yeah. So obviously we're not inside a big, giant, ever-expanding vacuum. It's ridiculous.
It's just interesting to me that you'd say the atmosphere wouldn't exist if the Earth was a globe.
Not without a physical barrier, it wouldn't. To prevent
Oh, so there has to be a physical barrier for the atmosphere
expanding.
to remain. Gotcha. Cool.
For gas
What if the
pressure,
physical
gas pressure.
barrier? What if? Okay, well, haven't we thought of pressure? Atmospheric pressure. That is a literal barrier.
You're like that guy last week who wants the physical barrier to be gas. That doesn't work.
No, hold on. I'm not saying. I'm not. Did I say that? I'm sorry if I said that. I don't recall saying that. I'm saying is you have to think about other substances that could be physical or non-physical barriers that would hold the atmosphere down.
Like what?
Like atmospheric pressure, for instance, and the difference in pressure between the surface level and space.
That pressure we have only because we have a physical. Go ahead, Tito. I'm sorry.
That's what I was just going to mention, that saying atmosphere or atmospheric is a contradiction in terms, by the way, because it means air, and air is a gas, and sphere is a shape. And gases have no inherent shape. They take on the shape of their container.
They take on the shape of the container.
Yeah, you can look up
So
fundamental
hold on, so what
properties of
we're-
gas
okay,
if
so
you
what
like
you're
and
saying
see and
here-
fact check that.
I
You don't have to
understand
fact check that. Just quickly look it up. Yeah.
I understand that. So you're saying that the atmosphere has to have something that would contain it, and the shape of the planet is what would contain it. In this case,
No.
right?
So for gas to be at pressure, right, to have a measurable pressure, you're going to need a container.
Yes.
You're going to need walls for the gas to exert force on. Yeah.
Yep. What that person said in the side chat is what I was talking about: the pressure difference between the surface and the space. That's, in my opinion, that and gravity is what keeps the atmosphere on the surface, and it doesn't just drift away.
Can you explain more as to why gravity keeps the particles intact within the atmosphere?
You might have to, like, what do you mean?
So why isn't it leaking to the vacuum of space?
Because of the planet's gravitational pull and the.
And how does gravity do that, though? That's what I'm asking.
How does gravity work?
Yeah, how does gravity do it?
Okay. If you have a mass in space, no matter what size that mass is, it has a certain gravitational force. For example, the Earth is a gigantic mass. It's absolutely huge. That's why it looks flat on surface level. So with all that mass in space, it creates gravity. It creates a pull. So anything that has large mass creates a pulling force, and that's what we call gravity. That's why we get around the moon. It has a less gravitational pull.
Yeah, you explained how gravity is created,
but
you're not explaining the usage of
I remember
gravity.
my physics professor told me
Interrupting
that,
him.
I remember my physics professor told me that science hasn't really found the source of gravity, but how we understand it is that masses create this pull in space, and the size always matters. So if it's a larger mass, there's a larger pull. The sun has us in its gravitational pull. That's why we're in orbit, a constant orbit. The moon is in our orbit because it's a smaller mass, and it has 6 times less our gravity because of the mass. So mass really depends for gravity to happen.
No, that's not my question. My question is, what's the usage and how it keeps the particles intact? Yeah, you explained how gravity is created, right? Because every mass has gravity, right? And depending on the size, there's a difference in strength, right? Like, for example, me, I have gravity, but it's like super little.
Well, yes.
Exactly. But what's the usage? That's what I'm saying. How does it keep particles in Earth? Like, for example, air particles.
Okay. Do we know how diffusion works?
Explain.
Okay, diffusion is the movement of molecules from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. Okay, now that kind of works hand in hand with the atmosphere. Atmospheric diffusion is when you have particles in the atmosphere, as you were mentioning earlier, that are being forced down onto the surface and not let out into space because of 2 reasons. And once again, it's gravity and it's atmospheric pressure. Now, if you look at the chart that the other person sent in the side chat, there's a pressure difference between the surface of the Earth and space. That is the reason why the atmosphere does not leave the Earth's surface.
So it's not doing what you said it should do.
What do you mean?
Yep.
High concentration
So
of
flat earther is here.
energy
Do
dispersing
you have
into the
anything
lower concentration of energy.
You can shut up halfway through the conversation. You're interrupting the conversation. So shut up and ask your question when we're done.
Or a high concentration of pressure moving
What?
towards the
I'm so
lower
confused.
concentration of pressure.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
I don't know, man.
You
I think this guy's
the
on his
lower-
period.
Santham,
You said
shut
the-
up.
You said the higher concentration.
You're not even talking.
Dispersing into the lower concentration.
You literally
towards
muted
the lower
yourself.
Concentration of energy.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, could you please repeat that for the last time?
You said diffusion would be
Mhm.
the higher concentration of matter or pressure, right, dispersing into the lower concentration of matter of area, right, of matter or pressure. So you're describing entropy, right?
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
How am I describing entropy? What makes you think I'm describing entropy in this case about diffusion?
That's an example of entropic law taking effect.
Well, sure, but I'm not specifically mentioning entropy, am I?
But does matter and energy do that, or doesn't it?
It does. Matter does do that.
It does. Now you're using that image that Sporadic posted as an example of how it doesn't do that.
Well, that's how it does.
But there's an area of a low concentration of pressure.
Yes. And that's space.
Without a physical barrier in between.
Yep.
And so you said that matter and energy does disperse from higher concentrations to lower concentrations, and that there's an example of a higher concentration next to a lower concentration, and it's the higher concentration is not dispersing into the lower pressure area.
And do you know what the reason for that is?
No, you say no. I don't care about your excuses. Why it's not happening.
It's not an excuse. I mentioned this like 4 times, and this is the first time I'll mention it.
No,
It's the atmospheric pressure and it's gravity.
Yeah, that's the claim, right? I understand the claim.
Well, it's a proven claim that gravity exists.
You're talking out two sides of your mouth. So does matter and energy do that, or doesn't it?
It does. But what stops it from doing that and going into space is gravity and atmospheric pressure.
So it's not doing it.
Well, because of gravity and atmospheric pressure, yes.
Yeah, I don't care about the excuses.
There's an opposite and greater force.
Why? So you need to decide that matter and energy does do what you described, or
it does do that. But okay, listen.
Right, so
let me just say something.
You keep with the circle reasoning, interrupting him. No, you can let him finish first.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So not what you were appealing to that was posted then. Right. So not that.
Well, what I was saying is right. Both ways. The first part is correct. The second part is correct. And what I mean by this is that the second part, when I talked about the atmospheric pressure and gravity, they don't only have an opposite force, but they have an opposite and greater force because the pressure difference is insane. It's ridiculous. It keeps atmosphere on the surface. It does not let it out. Now, on Mars, for example, it is believed that millions of years ago, it had an atmosphere almost the same as Earth's atmosphere. And it was let loose because those pressure differences have changed. So the atmosphere was just completely destroyed. And that's why Mars barely has an atmosphere now. If you look at the moon, for example, it doesn't even have an atmosphere, but it does have gravity. So if it were to have an atmosphere, it might have 6 times less of an atmosphere than Earth. It's just I don't know if you didn't understand the part where I said that yes, diffusion is a thing that occurs with particles, but there's an opposite and greater force, which is the atmosphere and gravity, both working against it to keep it in place.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why do people think that Mars millions of years ago, given that its distance for a very different distance from the sun, etc., would have anything close to an Earth-like atmosphere?
Because of the terrain and the shape of the terrain, it's believed that it had water, and it's believed that it was a greener planet in the past.
But the distances would make it impossible for it to be anything close to Earth.
Not necessarily. Well, it can be something close to Earth, but not exactly like Earth.
Well, I would say very far from what Earth
is. Absolutely, very far from what Earth is, of course. But okay. It's believed that it did have an atmosphere, and it's believed that it did have water on the surface.
I appreciate your input.
Yep.
What does that have to do with Earth, though?
Nothing. That was just a random question.
Just random, like Mars?
Yeah, it was just a question.
So if gravity works the same everywhere, and gravity pulls gases down to the surface of the Earth, how come Mars doesn't have an atmosphere?
Mars did have an atmosphere.
And then gravity stopped working?
It's not gravity that stopped working. It's the atmospheric pressure that changed.
Because gravity changed?
No, gravity did not change.
Okay, so if gravity causes atmosphere, gravity did not change.
Did I say that gravity causes atmosphere?
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I said gravity keeps the atmosphere down.
So how did it lose gravity?
I did not say it loses gravity. Did I say, guys, once again, did I say it loses gravity? I said it lost its atmosphere, not the gravity.
How did it lose its atmosphere if it didn't lose its gravity?
Are you serious?
Well, this is your idea. Yeah, what we're doing here.
No, it's not. Gravity does. No, my claim was that gravity keeps the atmosphere down. It helps.
Okay, so what happened to the gravity on Mars?
Nothing. The atmospheric pressure changed, which is an equal force that keeps the atmosphere down on Earth, for example. So on Earth,
you have to think about this shit you're talking about because it's a direct contradiction internally.
Here, let me repeat what I said. The atmospheric pressure and gravity both play a part in keeping the atmosphere down. On Mars, what happened was the atmospheric pressure changed. That's why the atmosphere was destroyed. Gravity remains the same. I never said gravity changed on Mars. Come on.
Yeah, the pressure is caused by the gas.
The mass of Mars did not change. What changed was the atmospheric pressure,
which is caused by gravity.
Dude, in your opinion, sure.
No, yours.
I did not say that.
Okay, what pulls gas down?
What pulls gas down? Atmospheric pressure and gravity.
Okay, what causes atmospheric pressure? Pressuring down.
I genuinely don't know. I have to look that up.
Yeah,
it's in my book somewhere.
Look it up.
Sure.
You're going to realize it's a hot mess what you're advocating for. It's not internally consistent inside your own model.
So Adam, I've got a question for you. If you were to measure atmospheric pressure on the planet Mars, would you use Mars bars?
No, I would use millibars and I would use inches of mercury. 1 second, let me answer his question. Hold on.
I mean, have you ever eaten Mars bars? They're actually pretty.
They are pretty fucking nice. I'm not gonna lie. But let me just answer his question real quick. Atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of the air above a given point, resulting from the gravitational pull on air molecules, and is influenced by factors like temperature, altitude, and air density. And
How do you weigh the air?
And by the way, not only gravity. You gotta keep that in mind because all the others have changed. Temperature has changed on Mars. The altitude that didn't change. The air density definitely changed on Mars. So that caused the atmospheric pressure to decrease. What do you mean? I'm still correct.
No,
I did not.
What you did was it's a hard counter.
How was it a hard counter?
Because to get weight, you need a downward force, which you call gravity.
Okay.
To get density.
And what is gravitational pull influenced by?
This is what you think.
No, it's not what I think. It's what Google is saying right now. I'm reading it. What is gravitation? What is the gravitational?
Why are you here?
What is the gravitational pull? Hold on, because you said something that's wrong. I have to correct you. What is the gravitational pull influenced by?
I'm correcting you. You're not correcting me.
What? Okay, sure. If you have that much of an ego, no problem. I'm just asking you a question. I asked you, what is gravitational pull influenced by? Answer that question. Simple, please.
You can't ask that because your worldview is based on the Google it.
Are you serious? Well, where does Google get its answers from?
That's what I'm saying. That's where you get your answers from.
No. It's where I get buddy, calm down. The stuff that I get from Google is the stuff that I studied in college. Now I'm asking you a question.
My epistemology here is I'm not going to get between you and your Google. What's going to happen?
I mean, look, man. If you're going to get your information from yourself, then go ahead and do that. No problem. But if you're going to want to debate people,
keep googling it until you find the contradiction. That's the main issue here.
With all due respect.
As soon as you
that's the problem. You're absent of logic. You're basing your knowledge off of Google. And
I'm not basing my knowledge off of
what you learned in college. Shut up. What you learned in college. Yeah, there's no logic involved.
Yeah, just imagine like you tell a professor, "Hey, professor, you're wrong. I just Googled it."
Well, the information that my professor would tell me is what's on Google.
Right, so how do you measure that the increased pressure that we're breathing at the surface is due to gravity? How do you demonstrate that?
Not necessarily sure. I went through that in flight school, but I forgot.
Wait, so you said that we have increased air pressure due to gravity, right?
We have increased air pressure due to gravity.
Gravitational pull?
The temperature and air density.
Yes. Okay, so how do you determine that the increase of air pressure we have at the surface is due to gravity?
The downward pulling force of gravity is what.
Right, I know that's the claim. How do you determine that that's what's happening? Can you demonstrate that that's what's happening somehow?
How am I going to demonstrate that for you now?
Well, it's your claim, dude. I just want to find out how you demonstrate that it's true.
It's not my claim. It's the scientist's claim. It's not mine.
All right, so do you not stand by the claim?
I do stand by the claim because I.
All right, so how would they determine that to be the case?
The downward pulling force?
No, that the air pressure increases as a consequence of gravity.
Sure. If you have a whole bunch of molecules, let's do it this way. You spray something, right? You spray like a bottle of water as like a spraying nozzle into the air.
Water droplets are not gas molecules.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Hold on. Let me think of this.
It's almost a trick question. I know there's no answer to it because your understanding of gas behavior is completely wrong. You don't know anything about kinetic molecular theory.
Well, I've studied it.
Well, can you show me where the gravitational force is shown to increase the pressure of gas in kinetic molecular theory? Because it's not in any of my textbooks.
Well, it's not. But see, it's
pretty sure it says it's negligible, actually.
The atmosphere. Hold on.
Yep.
Pressure. Okay, wouldn't pressure change the force on molecules?
Not due to gravity. So Avogadro's law is a direct refutation of the idea that gas mass is gravity interacting.
Okay, but you're going.
Avogadro's law demonstrates the mass-independent nature of gas pressure.
Okay, but you're.
If it's mass-independent, there's no gravity claim because gravity and mass interact.
Okay. But now
so gas pressure is never caused by gravity.
Mm-hmm.
This can be demonstrated by Avogadro's law, which you should know well.
Sure. And now you're going off of gravity.
I'm pretty sure the pressure is caused by the gas.
Hold on. Is that motion? Pressure is caused by the gas? What do you mean?
The gas in motion, when it collides with the surface, that's the pressure. That's pressure. That's gas pressure.
Sure. But because he went off of gravity alone, and I'm confused. Like, are we forgetting all the other forces that pull on gases?
We're not forgetting. You know that there are real forces. Gravity's not a force.
Sure, it's not.
He's trying. So what Sporadic is doing now, he is just trying to differentiate between the scientific claims and pseudoscientific claims. So you made a bunch of claims, gravity and those things, and Mars, because it lost. There is more density in the gases on Mars, so Mars lost its atmosphere. So it was a bunch of stories. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So now we just have to differentiate the scientific claims from the pseudoscientific claim, and one of the pseudoscientific claim is gravity attracting gases.
I got to step out. I'll listen in.
Excuse me.
So if you have any ability to validate your claims scientifically, not pseudoscientifically, so you have to follow the scientific method. And the last step,
if you guys are...
the third one, sometimes you can consider the fourth one if you add question. It's not necessary to add questions, just observation, hypothesis, and experiment. So yeah, in your experiment, you have to demonstrate that gravity will help you create that gas pressure.
Sure. If you guys are hard set on the Earth being flat, there's no need for me to try to change your mind.
At the moment, we're just disputing the existence of outer space.
Sure.
Don't run away from the claim.
I'm not running away from any claim. Listen, I'm not running away from any claim. It's 9 in the morning, and I'm not going to bother to try to make flat earthers understand that the Earth is not.
No. Don't talk about flat earthers now. Don't jump to talk about people instead of talking about the topic, which wasn't people.
Aren't you a flat earther?
No, you're a flat earther, dude.
How am I flat earther? What?
Because you can't support your claims, which is what you defined as a flat earther. You defined yourself as a flat earther.
I didn't define myself.
And you said you operate an aircraft as if it is so.
I did not say as if it is so. You said that, and then I was like, no, we don't assume that it's flat.
No, you
Do you not
said
remember
that
the
for
words
all
that came
intents and
out of your
purposes, it's just flat, and that's how you operate
Did I say
an
that really?
aircraft.
Wow, interesting.
That's how
Does anybody
you
have a
said-
replay here? Because I want to hear that.
Yeah, I can go back and find it.
Yeah,
It's
please,
recorded.
please, man.
It's
Please.
recorded, and I remember you saying that, right?
Could you
And then
please show me the recording?
And then what you showed was that you know absolutely nothing about flat Earth, right? So if you go to the YouTube bots at the top,
Where's the YouTube bots? Let me
See, this is
Top
why
of
you
the-
record because of globamnesia.
Tom,
You
where's the top?
forget-
Hold on. Hold on. I want to see this.
Dude, you're dumb as shit right now. You can't.
Let me see the
find-
replay because it's not there. What I said was not there. Where's the replay? Let's watch it, please. Because the words that you claim I said,
Right
I
there,
have not
there's
said.
2 bots streaming to 2 different YouTube channels.
Oh, okay.
you said you don't have to account for the curvature of the Earth because of gravity and whatnot, right? So you said that you don't have to adjust the pitch.
You don't have to account for that, but you said we assume that the Earth is flat.
Right. And then,
which I said no.
T-Dub asked you why, so you wouldn't, it would work the same on if the Earth was flat, and you said no, and then you showed that you don't know anything about flat Earth because you thought it was a disk in space, right? And then the conversation veered off to talking about space.
Dude, now you're
and how
putting
it
words in my mouth.
exists.
Could we please
And now you're
replay?
showing that you don't know much about gas.
Could we not
or
put words in my mouth, and could we just watch the replay instead, please?
You can go and watch the replay. It's live, right? And everyone here heard you say it, right? I remember it word for word, so you can go and check it. I told you where the replay is.
Sure, hold on. Just give me a
Right,
second.
so go and check it.
Okay, 1 second.
Bro, this is the funniest shit. This is so funny. I'm at work right now listening to you guys. This shit is hilarious.
On this part.
Indeed.
Like, gravity never changed, but Mars lost its atmosphere. Right? Wow. But these people say that gravity causes atmosphere. It causes atmosphere, dude.
See, their worldview is inconsistent. It's logically inconsistent. And that's why they have to slap Astro in front of physics. Because as soon as their physics leaves observable reality, they can't use it anymore.
I don't know if Sporadek is listening, but I heard him. I heard your brother say that leave the discussion. I don't know if it was because of me I interrupted or something. I swear I didn't mean that.
Here's that part.
Yeah, there you go. I posted it for you where you said it.
So just catching up here. So we have brother Adam. It appears he's a pilot who's in the chat trying to tell us that the Earth is in fact curved. You just can't see it. Is this correct?
Yeah, and then gravity causes atmosphere, and gravity causes no atmosphere.
Okay, there we go. So even in the
And
clip that you hold
it
on.
makes it feel like the Earth is flat.
The clip that you sent. Thank you. Did I say that we assume the Earth is flat?
No, you operate your aircraft as if it is flat because it makes it feel like it's flat.
we don't, because the forces
You said
that
you don't
act
have to
upon
correct for anything. Yeah, make it so that you don't have to act it.
Exactly.
Don't have
But
to
we didn't,
account for it.
I didn't say we assume the Earth is flat.
As if
That's what
the
you said.
Earth
That's
is
what you
flat,
claimed
and
I
it
said.
makes it feel like it's flat, right?
The aircraft, that is.
Yeah.
Because of the
so
three forces
you treat
that
it.
act upon
You treat it as if it's just flat.
Well, dude, I don't treat it as if it's flat. I know it's round. The aircraft operates as if the Earth is flat because of the forces that act upon it.
There you go. Yeah,
I don't-
the aircraft operates as if the Earth is flat.
Because of the
You
forces
just
that
heard
act
it
upon
again,
it. Are you
folks.
not
Just for the
hearing the words
audience
that
and everybody here?
Now you're just hold on. Now you're just butchering the things that I'm saying.
To realize what he
I
just
said,
said.
dude. I said because
Note
of the
what he
forces
just
that act
said.
upon it. Are you not listening?
The aircraft operates as if the Earth is flat.
Because of what?
Why?
I said because of the
Why?
forces that act upon it. Thank you. Quote that part too.
Yeah, the things that
because
you
of the
are not
forces that act
feeling,
upon
or
it. Sure.
the things that you are not
That's what
feeling,
you
the things that you are believing that are happening. So, like you said, so you don't know that the Earth is a globe. That's one fact. You don't know that the Earth is a globe. You believe that the Earth is a globe. So, in your mind, the Earth is a globe, but you fly the plane as if there is no curvature, no movement. So you're not taking account of any curvature. Just listen.
I've been mentioning this over and over again. You're butchering what I said.
I understand you. I heard you 7 times. I will mention it at the end. Just listen. I will mention it. So you believe that the Earth is a ball. You are flying the plane as if there is no curvature. You're never taking account of any curvature at all. You're never taking account of any motion of the Earth at all. No spinning of around itself. No orbiting. No nothing. So you fly as if it is flat and motionless. So the other parts, you think that there is some forces applied on the plane and it makes it follow the curvature and it makes it go with the spin and you don't feel any or witness any other of those. Yeah, I understood you. You think that there is some forces like gravity, for example, pulling the plane, making it follow the curvature and making you ignore that you are following the curvature. So you feel that there is no curvature, you're not going around the ball, you don't feel yourself upside down. Yeah, I understand. But those are things that you're just imaginating that they exist. Really. Yeah. So if you consider those things that you talked about part of science, go ahead. It will be easy to validate those things using science. Because they are just pseudoscience, you won't be able to validate anything about gravity, the nonsense for curvature. So those things you want to be able to validate them.
Okay. Cool.
So just pseudoscience.
All right.
A statement, a claim that is not following the scientific method, but assumed to be factual and scientific.
Hey, Necros.
Yeah,
Necros. Dude, my favorite part was when he said something like, if gravity wasn't there, then the planets would just fall down. Something like that. So if there was no force of mass attracting mass, then mass would attract mass.
Yeah. Yeah. My God.
All down love our educational system, eh?
So I have a question for Adam, if I may. Adam, what's the height that you fly at?
5,500 feet usually.
Sorry?
5,500 feet MSL usually.
So 5,500 feet above mean sea level. Thank you. So when you are ascending and descending from your flying altitude, how long does it take you to reach your height and descend from that height?
Okay. It depends on the speed I'm going at. So if I'm going to descend at, like, let's say 90 knots on average, I would get down from 5,500 to the airport in about, I'd say, 7 minutes.
Right. So do you know what the rate of spin is claimed by the globe proponent?
I forgot what the number was.
I got a question.
Sure.
Hold on, I'm actually just not done. I'll withdraw from the last line here. Yeah, thank you for this. So my question to you strictly is, if the Earth was in fact spinning, right? If P, then what would be the expected movement of the runway you're targeting to land upon within that descent from, again, altitude down to the surface of the tarmac? This is my question to anyone who believes that this place is a globe. You're a great example of that because you're interacting with it, right? Targeting the tarmac so that you can land on it. So I'm just trying to figure out if in that 5-minute time frame, in fact, the Earth should have moved. Like, how does that all work? If maybe you could explain that to us.
Well, the runway spins with the Earth's rotation. I don't get your question. Are you talking about the air that I'm flying through? Would it spin with the Earth? Yes, it would.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out at what point does the plane free itself from that magical spin which the Earth seems to have, that it like pulls everything with it as it's spinning. Like, how far do you have to be away from the tarmac or the surface of the Earth in order to observe the Earth in fact spinning beneath the plane itself?
We don't calculate that because the air that we're flying through is spinning with the Earth. The runway is spinning with the Earth. Everything that is inside the atmosphere down to the surface is going in the same direction of rotation as the Earth.
But the plane
isn't calculate for the rotation of the Earth in the air or the ground.
As if it's stationary.
Well, yes, because it technically is. When it's all spinning at the same time, it is stationary from the point of view on the ground.
Sure is. Flat too?
Come
on.
Sure, whatever you think.
So you operate the aircraft as if the Earth is both flat and motionless.
Well, yes. Is the
right, which brings us full circle. Let me just say this.
So that's how you think about it. So just because you operate the aircraft and you think the aircraft feels like the Earth is flat, and because you think the Earth is flat, it goes full circle and the Earth is flat. That's what you think. Okay.
And stationary.
You're treating, here's the thing, right? Brother T-Dub was walking out with you just before this, the idea that we treat, well, at least your plane anyways, treats the Earth as if it is in fact a stationary topographical plane. So I wanted to give you the card of saying, okay, cool, the tarmac's spinning, right? So on your rate of descent, your time of descent, that tarmac should have moved a certain distance. But you're now saying that the Earth has a magical force called gravity that actually pulls everything in lockstep with it, which is really interesting. I think it's called Coriolis. You may want to look that up, research it, add it to your little paddy wagon.
Yeah, we learned that.
The problem, Killian, and I agree with you, but the problem is, yeah, I can assume like them that the atmosphere is in lockstep with the Earth, but the plane is not. So the plane have that force of that atmosphere that is rotating with the spin of the Earth, but the plane left that reference frame. So that atmosphere should just push the plane when it sideways or from the front. So it will have to go against the current or with the current or sideways.
What?
The plane is not in lockstep.
Oh, who told you that?
Yeah, it should not be in lockstep. The atmosphere can be in lockstep. So the atmosphere, like a river. So the atmosphere can't be in lockstep with the ground. So if the ground is like a moving carpet underneath the river. So yeah, they can both have the same speed, it doesn't matter. But that rock that is going up and leaving the moving surface, so it will have that current of the river that is pushing on it.
If you're on a train that's moving at constant velocity and you jump up, are you going to slam to the back of it? That's how I think of it, at least. You're not. You're already in motion with the train. Mm-hmm. It's very constant velocity.
Correct. But that would be for just short time. You won't keep the same speed with the train forever. No.
Well, right, so but what's going to slow you down?
The plane is not jumping.
That's correct. Thank you for mentioning that. What is going to slow you down?
So the plane is not jumping.
I'm not talking about the plane. The train, like
that bullet cannon or something. No, the plane is flying, so it will just have to go against that current created by the atmosphere. Like when you put a plane inside a chamber and you move the air toward that plane, you make an artificial big fan, and you move that air against the plane, and you test that aerodynamic. So yeah, that will be the air, just the air alone, moving against the plane. And you can add the engines and the plane thrust moving against that current, because the plane left The reference frame, like that, like you jumping on the boat or the train.
Well, here's a really good thought experiment for this that highlights the contradiction inside the globe worldview. So say you have an astronaut in a spacecraft, and he's not, or she, the astronaut, is not touching any surface, perfectly weightless, right in the middle of the spacecraft. What direction do they move?
Sorry, what? What direction do they move if they're in a spacecraft in orbit?
Yeah, so you've got a spacecraft in orbit, and then an astronaut is weightless, right in the middle of the spacecraft, not touching anything.
Okay.
What direction do they move?
They're moving the direction that they've been accelerated towards, and they're being pulled down by gravity, both forces. But the greater force is the acceleration.
No, I mean, do they go towards the aft or the front?
The direction that they're being accelerated towards. So wherever the engine is.
Yeah, you have to answer forward or back. Which direction do they move?
I'm not sure where the engine is. Is it forward or back?
Yeah, the engine, they're not, it's just moving around, weightless.
I understand, but where's the engine when it was accelerating from the Earth's surface all the way up to orbit?
Okay.
Where is the engine placed?
Okay, you're too dumb for this conversation. Okay, Nate, are you there?
Oh, what's up? I was just trying to correct something because I heard.
Yeah, I'm not. There's no wrong answer here. I'm just testing for internal consistency inside your worldview. So you have a astronaut.
Book flight today, Heathrow to JFK. Headed west-southwest, cause there ain't no better way. Gonna find that old Coriolis, they say she's hidden in the winds. But that just can't be if we rotate east, tangential gradient. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis must be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. And we all know every pilot treats the Earth as motionless. So to think it must be moving is just insane, you must confess. But please don't get offended if this song makes too much sense. Just thank God that landing's easy with no tangential gradient in the winds. They said she'd just be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we go. So thank God we won't be crashing when those wheels hit down below. Hidden in the winds, there ain't no Coriolis hidden in the winds. And thank God it's stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving with a tangential gradient. Yes, here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And their Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And thank God we won't be crashing when we touch down at the end. And thank the Lord, Earth is stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving. There's no tangential gradient.